Man, I'm feeling so much superhero fatigue to where if Marvel crashed tomorrow, man, I wouldn't miss it. I wouldn't miss none of the movies at all, man.
Am I done? I really thought that, because I think I'm done with Star Wars. I think I'm finished. I think moving forward, I'm not going to be like the first guy in like the theater for Star Wars. Something in my mind broke with Star Wars.
I am all the Sith.
I'm all the Jedi.
And I was like, this sucks. And it's not fun anymore. Star Wars is not being fun. And I feel like Marvel movies are starting to get there too. Like, I feel like I'm only watching them just so I can keep up with the conversations later.
Like we say this all the time in our videos that Marvel is trying to sell you the next movie within the movie that they're in. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel right to me, man. It really doesn't. It feels
like you're watching a commercial.
Yes. Yeah.
I just got finished watching the Billboard Awards, and you know, on the Billboard Awards they had Puffy. He was hosting, and the whole time, you know, he was trying to sell lotion and his Ciroc brand liquor. And
man, my hands all ashy. Frank, no, I can't have no ashy hands on TV. It's that Sean John lotion. It's my butler, Frank. Say hi, Frank.
That's kind of how Marvel feels like. Like it feels like a commercial. And so I'm like, I think the next big Marvel movie is Thor: Love and Thunder, right?
Thor: Love and Thunder, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, if I miss Thor: Love and Thunder, what would I lose? And I'm like, I don't think I might gain 2 hours of my life. As a matter of fact, this is the old man Devin talking now. I feel like my life is richer now that I don't have to keep up with all the trends and stuff. So like,
yeah, man. You just said on one of our previous episodes, if we're getting in the era to where we have to Google synopsis to find out who this person is or what this plot that they're going on in a movie, if we have to do that, then that's not a good movie, man.
Yeah, because the movie's not interested, right? The Doctor Strange 2 was like uninterested in Charlize Theron, right? They didn't even tell me what her name was. They didn't tell me what her deal was. Nothing. So if this was any other movie, and there was a character that just showed up out of nowhere, and the movie never explained who she was, and then she walks away, you'd be like,
what?
Yeah, you're like, what is that? You know? But it's for some reason that's acceptable in a Marvel film, because they know you've got a resource, you know, where you can go find out who that was, right? And that's what they want. And that to me is getting old. And with Star Wars, my realization that Star Wars kind of sucked was slow, right? Like when I was a kid, I used to love Star Wars, man. I was so into Star Wars. What was it, Force Awakens? When that came out, I was like, I was not into that. And so I was like, well, you know, at the time, it's like it can't all be winners, and everyone sure loves Force Awakens, so you know, all right. And then The Last Jedi, I'm like, okay, great, things are getting better. And then the public response was just horrific, and I'm like, oh, what the what? And then I started thinking about how they treated like some of the black characters and the Asian characters in these movies, and I'm like, yeah, they were on the billboard, but they weren't really in the movie. Yeah, I was like not really into that, and I'm like, and then, you know, and I'm starting to feel that with Marvel.
These creators are not making singular stories anymore,
and I think that's really the big issue, right? I'm not even sure this is really superhero fatigue that I'm feeling. I think because when I saw the Batman, I was like, wow, that was great. So we can still do things with some of these characters, huh? There's still a lot to do. There's still a lot to be said here, for at least for me, because I really enjoyed the Batman. But movies like the Batman are rare, right? And you get more Doctor Strange 2s than you get the Batman, which kind of sucks. And I feel like that wasn't always the case with Marvel. I feel like Marvel at one point, just before Endgame, I feel like Marvel was like firing on all cylinders. Every movie that came out, I was excited to go see, because I knew I'd be seeing a good movie. Now I'm not sure.
There's some YouTubers by the name of The Real Rejects and they have a video out now where they're saying, is Marvel directionless? I think they are directionless.
Yeah, it's a good question. They kind of feel like it, huh?
When the whole thing was talking about the whole Thanos thing, it was going to one singular direction, but each movie felt like it was its own thing.
And each movie dealt with, the appearance of a new Infinity Stone, and then Thanos came and grabbed each Infinity Stone, essentially from each movie. And yeah, you're right. It had like a really strong direction.
It was a beeline to where it was supposed to be.
And if Marvel has a direction, I'm not sure where we're going. It felt like for a second we were heading towards Kang, right? But because the multiverse stuff and the timeline things. But
sure did.
I haven't seen anything about Kang, which makes me think maybe the fan response for Kang was bigger than Marvel's intention, because he hasn't been hinted at nothing for any movie. But if he's gonna be the big bad, if he's gonna be like the new Thanos, he's gonna show up in Ant-Man, that feels odd, right? Thanos' first appearance was in Avengers, right? It was not in Iron Man, it was in Avengers, which felt like a big deal all unto itself, and all these characters finally came together. Also, I feel like I'm not interested in a lot of the young Avengers that they're hinting at. While I do like America, what's your name? What's your last name?
America Chavez. America
Chavez. Yeah.
Chavez.
That's right. Well, I do like America Chavez. I think she's too powerful. I'm not wild about seeing an America Chavez movie.
And I think at some point they're going to be introducing Miles Morales, and he's going to be a part of that. So
I've never heard that. Where'd you hear that from?
In my brain.
Yeah, exactly. Conjecture.
Objection. Sustained.
Right. Separate conjecture and reality. I think Marvel doesn't want to introduce Miles Morales too fast, because if they'll step on their the sequel to Into the Spider-Verse. So I think they don't want to do that. But we'll see. But either way, I guess I'm not all that interested, because Miles Morales is just Spider-Man. Right, so don't we already have one of those? I don't know.
There's no difference.
And maybe I wasn't feeling this before. I felt it in Moon Knight, where Marvel is pulling their punches. Right, I cannot imagine Marvel doing a straight horror film. Not like Midsommar. They'll never do anything like that. But that was just true horror right there. God damn. But I'm talking about I can't see Marvel. They feel less flexible than I feel like they used to.
That's why you said they held back Sam Raimi.
Yeah, big time. I feel like Sam Raimi got to put some Sam Raimi gloss on there, But other than that, he was just like a gun for hire. He just kind of shot the movie, He wasn't really this wasn't really, to me, didn't really feel like a Sam Raimi movie. And with Moon Knight, it's such a dark character but they still had to put in a little CGI hippo and stuff like that for the kids. And I'm like, I'm feeling the limits of Marvel. I can see that they'll never go over here. They'll never go over there. They'll never talk about this. They'll never talk about that. They'll never have a movie that looks like this. So I'm starting to feel like their limits. And I'm starting to check out.
To Marvel, they're limitless if they have America Chavez.
Yes, so that's kind of part of the problem. Where are the stakes? There's no stakes in Marvel.
There's no stakes. She gotta die. She has to die.
Do you remember in Avengers, at the end of Avengers 1, Tony Stark goes up into space and he stops the missile from going off, then he falls back down to Earth. And there was a second where people really thought they killed Tony Stark in the movie, right? Now, of course they didn't, but there was a second at the time you're like, wow, Avengers is going to end with the death of Tony Stark. But then, of course, he's not dead. But they can literally never do that again, right? Because they can just grab another one, right? So I feel like they call it plot armor. I feel like the plot armor is too tough on everyone. No one. I don't even believe Scarlet Witch is dead. I don't believe
she's not.
Yeah,
she's not.
So that whole scene has no weight, right? Because I'm like, I'm sure she'll be back. So when she died, I think you were supposed to feel something, but I felt nothing.
Oh, Reed Richards got unfoiled, and okay. Oh, well,
that's a good point too. They introduced before they introduced the multiverse. I think we're really tapping into something here. Before they introduced the multiverse, imagine that Reed Richards showed up in a movie and then died like 10 minutes later. I feel like it would be the biggest thing, and people will be talking about that forever. Yeah. They'd be like, so there's no more Fantastic Four in the Marvel Universe? But obviously that's not the case because there's another Reed Richards, I'm assuming. So had no weight. That's crazy.
There has to be one because we already know, which it goes back to their marketing ploy, and is that we already know that Fantastic Four is being. The script is already done, but they're looking for directors. So
yeah, crazy. Doctor Strange really did expose a big weakness for the Marvel Universe. This was a movie that killed Scarlet Witch, Professor X, Reed Richards, Black Bolt, and no one cared. There's no threat they will never see Professor X again, right? That's not a threat. There's no threat they will never see Reed Richards again. Like no one's worried about this, right? No one's like, wow, what does the Marvel Universe look like without Reed Richards? They're not like that. So to me, it feels like there's no real stakes in Marvel. And what's funny is the comic books have the same problem where the stakes mean nothing, right? They'll kill a character and no one cares because you're like, they're gonna bring him back.
Bring back another issue.
And they do. Like they've killed off like literally every character has died in the comic books, and no one cares. They're just like, well, they're bringing it back.
Should comic books stay in their original form instead of bringing them to movies? Why have both?
I can see the appeal of making turning a comic book into a movie because you do gain something, right? A comic book is just still images in a row, and you kind of fill in each frame in your head, right? It's very similar to reading a book where it's just, you just use your imagination a lot. So I can see like putting it in a movie where it's like fully realized with images and sound. I can see that. I guess the novelty has worn off. I don't care anymore. I'm not like, whoa, Batman's on film. They used to blow my mind back in the day. But now I'm like, are you gonna say something with the character? What are you gonna do with the character? Are you gonna do something? And if it just ends up being like, I know this is a video game, but like Uncharted, where they have nothing to say, they're just trying to sell you a Tom Holland vehicle. That's very boring. That is so boring.
And then they sold it so correctly because it made so much stupid money.
It made a lot of money. Yeah, it made a lot of money. And that's really the root of it, right? Marvel makes so much money, and they are not stopping or slowing down in their like box office dominance. So we're gonna get a lot more. But do I need to follow? I don't know.
But will we follow for mostly wrong opinions? Yes, we will.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Right now, we're fighting over whether or not we should watch Jurassic Park.
Oh,
so I don't know.
True. We're fighting over that because I'm like,
no,
man,
I'm not watching that shit.
You know, the
other day, I was like, I don't know if I watch that.
We have to.
I don't know. Because the only way I can watch it is if I go back and watch the other one, and I'm like, I have no interest in watching that one either. That's 4 hours of like unpleasant shit.
I'm pulling my friend card. Okay, you have to do this for the show, not because you don't want to, because I don't want to. I just want to bag on that shit. I want you to edit.
See, it's not gonna be baggable. That's what I'm saying. It's gonna be.
Yes, it is.
It's not. It's gonna be bad, but it's gonna be the worst kind of bad. Like the uninteresting, generic blah bad. It's not gonna be like whoa. It's gonna be like. Mm-hmm. It's like the worst one, right? If something's like, I'll watch it. But if something's like outrageously terrible, that can be fun to talk about. And I'm sure it's going to sell great. I'm sure it'll just make all the money in the world. That's why I'm like frustrated with the movie. And it's not even out yet. It's going to make millions. It's going to make so much money. But it'll be like fine. You know what I mean? I hate those movies.
It's going to be less than fine.
Okay. It'll be a little less than fine. And I hate those movies. It was the worst. I'm like, be offensively terrible. Give me something to talk about, or be great. Don't just be like, I'll give it a 7. Like those are the worst. I'm like, hey, it's like a bloodletting.
Not strange we gave it a 7.
I know. That's why it's a bloodletting. I hate those, man. Terrible. I want 3s. I want 2s. I want some 1s. I want some 10s. I want some 9s. I don't want no 7s. I don't want no 6s, no 5s. Those are the worst. I think one of the reasons why I'm not interested in Jurassic Park is Jurassic Park has switched genres. Like the first Jurassic Park was a horror film, and the rest of these have been like action adventure type deals, which I just feel like my interest just like falls off a cliff, right? And it's very similar with Terminator, right? The first Terminator film, also a horror film, and then it turned into like an action adventure thing, and my interest fell off a cliff. Same thing with Alien. Alien turned out, the first one was a horror film, and then it turned into like an action shoot 'em up thing, and my interest fell off a cliff. Like, I wish we could get some of this drama back, some of the horror back.
It had all of the logical beats. If this was a real life scenario, and you have an alien, and you're trapped on a ship, you would be scared out your freaking mind. If you had a robot from the future that wanted to kill you to stop resistance in the future, that's scary as hell. If you stuck in a daggone park with dinosaurs that ain't supposed to be there because it's billions of years later, it's scary.
And just like with Terminator, where in Terminator 2, which everyone loves, and I like Terminator 2 as well, but I prefer Terminator 1. In Terminator 2, the Terminator went from being something scary to being like John Connor's friend, right? So I felt like that was like a wah, wah, wah. And it's the same thing with Jurassic Park, where the dinosaurs were terrifying, and now he's training them, and they're like his friend, and they have names. Like, wah, wah, wah.
Let us know in the comments down below what you think of this. You know, if you did like our opinions, hit that thumbs up. It really does help out the channel. Or you can hit that thumbs down and you can be like, everything you said was wrong. Okay. Whatever it is your opinion, but just remember one thing, it is mostly wrong.